Some of you might have seen police and SWAT teams in your neighborhood ahead. The man police are desperate to find this morning. Sydney?
I'm Adam Atchison.
And I'm Rebecca Hager. We want to go ahead and start with some news that's breaking overnight. Just after midnight, the Senate passed rules for the trial after 13 hours of debate. Opening arguments are set to begin at 10 this morning for the Senate impeachment trial. Both sides, after these rules, will now have 3 days instead of 2 to argue whether to remove the president from office. Republicans denied requests from Democrats to be guaranteed witnesses and to demand documents from the White House. They aren't allowed to have their cell phones or even coffee in the chamber. But as it got late, many were seen passing notes, even eating food and moving around. Drivers should expect a new traffic pattern on I-25 near Northgate Boulevard.
And you may see it as you head out the door this morning. It's already slowing people down.
A child is okay this morning after bullets came just inches from hitting him. Look at these pictures. Bullets came flying through a family's home while they were inside. It happened last night in a neighborhood near Powers and Astrazon in Colorado Springs. Police say they are investigating a shooting, but no arrests have been made. The family says they don't think they were targeted and their house was caught in the crossfire. Looking ahead right now, a man accused of asking a 14-year-old girl for nude photos is headed to trial. Eric Calder pleaded not guilty yesterday in court. According to arrest papers, when El Paso County deputies showed up to a park he tried to meet a girl at, Calder tried to run. The papers go on to say Calder told the teen they weren't close in age and they would need to be careful. Calder's trial will start in June. This morning, everything will be back to normal at a high school that was placed on lockout status as a precaution for most of the day. It's because of some sort of threat with a weapon made over the weekend towards Harrison High School in Colorado Springs. A lockout means outside doors are locked, but kids can move around inside. Police have not said what the threat was. We know that no arrests have been made. Happening right now, more U.S. troops are being evaluated for potential injuries from the Iranian missile strike on U.S. bases. They're being transferred to a medical facility in Germany. Officials say this is for caution because the troops may have injuries that are not visible yet. The Pentagon initially said there was nothing wrong, but it later revised that statement, saying 11 were treated for concussion symptoms. The strike happened earlier this month as retaliation for the U.S. killing one of its top generals. An Iranian student who attends school in the U.S. is no longer in the country. His lawyers are working to get him back into the U.S. The 24-year-old was detained Sunday at a Boston airport. The student was then deported despite an emergency stay ordered by a judge. Customs and Border Protection said it was not aware that a court blocked the student's removal. According to his attorneys, the State Department issued him a student visa last week, but agents revoked the visa when he arrived. Northeastern University is looking into what happened and how to get him back. Customs and Border Protection says it cannot comment on this case. A former U.S. Olympics coach is being investigated. This was the scene as investigators took boxes out of a gym formerly owned by former coach John Geddert. They also searched his home. Police in Grand Ledge, Michigan say it's part of an attorney general's investigation. Geddert worked closely with former doctor Larry Nassar. The gym is one place victims say Nassar sexually abused them. Some victims say Geddert helped cover up that abuse. His attorney says no charges have been filed. And we have an update on vaping in the U.S. We've talked about the dangers of Juul, but the number of people using it has actually spiked. We'll tell you who it is and more right after the break. Today is the deadline to file your claim if you were impacted by the Equifax data breach. The breach exposed information of 147 million people, so Equifax now has to give out free credit monitoring or money. Equifax announced the breach in September of 2017. The company agreed to a $700 million settlement. If you need to file a claim, you can visit our website at kktv.com, then click on the Find It tab, and then click on Equifax File a Claim. Tomorrow, there will be a new set of Colorado Springs police officers. The department's graduating its 70th class. The class is made up of 60 men and women who have undergone 27 weeks of intensive training. Because of limited seating, it is not open to the public. Only invited guests can go. New this morning, a 3-year-old boy is now the youngest member of Mensa, the world's largest and oldest international high IQ society. His mother says he met with a psychologist and scored 142 on the Stanford Binet IQ test. Whoa. Holy cow, that puts him in the 99.7th percentile. 145 and up is considered genius or near genius.
Well, he's real close to being a genius at 142.
He's got to have a great future. He's only going to get smarter, too.
I know, that's what I think. Imagine. Wow.
Proud parents,
Yep.
too.
Today, there is going to be an emergency meeting about the
But first, a look at a new app that will help you save money on your ski trips. Welcome back. The Los Angeles City Council is asking for the Dodgers to be given the 2017 and 2018 World Series titles. MLB said last week it found the Houston Astros illegally created a system that decoded and communicated the pitching signs of the opposing teams during their 2017 championship season, and that's the same season they beat the Dodgers in the World Series. A coach accused in the scheme then went to work for the Red Sox, who beat the Dodgers in the 2018 World Series. After the MLB's findings, the Astros fired 2 managers. I kind of like tenacity.
I do
They're all
too.
good.
I do too. Yeah, they're all. You can't win, lose with any of them. But that one sticks out.
Yeah.
I think.
Kind of has a ring to it. All right, if you don't like skiing alone or just don't like making the drive, there's a new app that could help you out. It's called Ski Buds, and it was developed here in Colorado. It's a special social media app that connects skiers and snowboarders, letting them meet up on the mountain or a place to set up carpools. The carpools can be set up in 16 areas, including Colorado Springs and Denver. It can be downloaded through the App Store and on Google Play. Let's get one more look outside before we take a break. At 6:26, we're coming to the bottom of the hour. You just make out Pikes Peak in the distance from our Baden Lewis Ranch camera. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 11 News This Morning. I'm Rebecca Hager.
I'm Adam Atchison. We're off to a chilly start in January, but you know what? Not too bad. Beautiful shot from our mountain cam. That we're giving away the temperature. Unfortunately, it's in the 30s. We'll get to Sydney here though in a second. She'll update us on what we can expect for most of the day.
In the meantime, we want to get to a breaking overnight story first. Just after midnight, the Senate passed rules for the impeachment trial. Opening arguments begin at 10 this morning. Apologize for that camera there. Now, yesterday, senators debated 13 hours. Into this morning, both sides will now have 3 days instead of 2 for opening arguments. Senate Republicans struck down nearly a dozen attempts by Democrats to subpoena new witnesses and documents. Democrats will have another chance to try to call witnesses later in the trial after opening arguments and questions from senators. Thank you. Starting today, people will be driving on new northbound lanes on I-25 near Northgate Boulevard as work to connect Powers to I-25 is underway.
Big project should improve traffic flow in that area.
All right, hopefully it doesn't cause too much of a headache. Thank you, Jenna. This morning, we're expecting to learn who will be the new police chief in Monument. The former interim police chief was at the center of an 11 News investigation. We showed you this body camera video from a few months ago. Mark Owens, the former chief, admitted to calling his own officers to his house for a domestic violence situation. It's outside their jurisdiction, though. He was not charged in that incident. This is developing right now. 10 deputies are on paid leave after the death of an inmate at the El Paso County Jail. It happened over the weekend. The sheriff's office says the incident involved use of force. The inmate was housed in the medical section and died despite immediate life-saving measures. The sheriff's office says it's standard policy to place the deputies on leave when they are involved in a situation like this. The DA's office will decide if anyone will be charged. This morning, a man who pleaded guilty to felony animal abuse will not have to go to prison. It's part of a plea deal. Brian Holloway was sentenced to serve 2 years of probation and is barred from owning animals for 5 years. He told a judge he ran out of money to feed his horses. 2 died. Animal advocates who show up for court were angry about the outcome. These are pictures of some of the animals. It's kind of hard to see. This all happened last year in a neighborhood east of Colorado Springs and west of Ellicott. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office says in addition to 2 dead horses, there were many emaciated horses on the property. A woman caught on camera crashing into guardrails and rolling her vehicle is charged with alleged DUI and reckless driving. Look at this. This video is crazy. We showed it to you yesterday. She's been identified as 28-year-old Nicole McGraw. It happened Monday afternoon on I-25 in the Springs. You can see the driver going back and forth, hit the guardrail several times, and eventually flipping into a ditch. She was not seriously hurt. McGraw was the only person in the car.
The Kansas State-Kansas basketball game turned pretty ugly in the final hours last night.
In the last few seconds, benches were cleared, punches were thrown. Take a look at this.
That's what happened right before, right?
Yeah.
And then this broke out.
Oh, no. That was intense. So in case you couldn't tell exactly what happened there, one of the Kansas players blocked a shot by Kansas State.
Wow.
Yeah, the Kansas player then stood over the Kansas State player after about 30 seconds. Apparently this was all contained. I feel like this has been going on for 30 seconds though. Yeah. It's wrapping up, I think. They're holding them back. The head coach called the blow up an embarrassment and said there will be consequences. The same two teams are scheduled to face off again February 29th. Ooh, I bet everyone wants those tickets now.
Well, the thing is, it's one thing that the teams did that, but then I think people on the sideline got involved there too.
3 men arrested ahead of a pro-gun rally allegedly wanted to start a race war. The rally was held in Richmond, Virginia. Court documents released yesterday say federal investigators started watching 3 suspected neo-Nazis earlier this month who allegedly discussed ways to attack the rally. Investigators say the men planned to use a special scope on their rifle to ambush people and police officers from a distance. The men were arrested last Thursday, days before the rally. A volcano is continuing to release smoke, creating worries for one country. This is video of the Taal volcano in the Philippines. It's been active for about 10 days now. Philippine officials say they're bracing for a long crisis. Whether the volcano erupts more disastrously, or continuously simmers, Alert Level 4 remains in effect, meaning a hazardous explosive eruption is possible within hours to days. Tens of thousands of people are evacuated. New this morning, the world's most hated office task is data entry. That's according to OnePoll research, which found that workers average more than 3 hours a day on repetitive computer tasks prone to human error. Managing email traffic was a close second. Ooh, I can agree with that. Filing digital documents came in third. Compiling IT reports and expense reports rounded out the top 5.
The mundane tasks, maybe. I can see that. That would be tough.
Expense reports, I don't like those either.
They take a while. You got to be so precise.
Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't work with numbers, too.
After just one use of sunscreen, 7 chemicals commonly found in sunscreens can be absorbed into your bloodstream. That's according to a study by the FDA. Advocates for safe sunscreens say this is alarming because some ingredients have not been fully tested for safety. But the FDA says the fact that an ingredient is absorbed doesn't mean it's unsafe. They did say, though, it does mean more testing should be done. Experts in the FDA stress the sun's link to cancer and aging is real, so just keep using sun protection anyway. We're taking a live look at our nation's capital right now. At 6:56, opening arguments are set to begin at 10 this morning for the Senate impeachment trial. Just after midnight, the Senate passed rules for the trial after 13 hours of debate. Both sides will now have 3 days instead of 2 to argue whether to remove the president from office. Let's take a look at what's coming up on CBS This Morning.